The aspects of a cake. So when you're walking through a grocery store, we all look and see that coveted dessert aisle. And we all know what it looks like because we all love going there. Now, when you go down that aisle, you see bright boxes of red and blue bearing names like Duncan Hines and Betty Crocker. And while most of us know what a cake mix is, and we know that we have to add a combination of eggs, milk, water, or all three, how many of us really know what the ingredients are in those boxes? Well, to begin, you have chemical additives like distilled monoglycerides and sodium ceruleate lactylate. And basically, those things are emulsifiers, and they're used to preserve the freshness of these cakes. However, when we're looking at them being born in a laboratory, it kind of puts us off a little. And while I was doing research for this and trying to find pictures, it seemed to me that these pictures, not only were they hard to find, but information on them were hard to find. Most times they led me back to what was the cake mix company itself listed as ingredients. There were no real there was no real information that I could find on them that was in fact how they were made or what was in them. But that's not the real point here. So these box cakes were made in the 1950s when it was fast and it was easy to make, which kind of produced us to a leisure culture going through the rest of how we worked. But as we kind of produced into this organic society in the 2000s, we kind of brought back that from-scratch cake. Now, from-scratch cakes and box cake mixes contain several ingredients that are the same. You have wheat or flour, sugar, and eggs. But when you look at them, there's a very staunch difference about how they are formed. For example, wheat and sugar are about 100% organic in today's world, and that means there's no genetically modified organisms in it, there's very few pesticides in them, and when we're seeing that, we think, oh, that's great. However, when you have them in a box cake mix, they're often included in them is things like cottonseed oil and soybean oil, which is an alternative to vegetable oil. Now, vegetable oil in and of itself is mostly organic, but when you're adding cottonseed oil and soybean oil, you have those genetically modified organisms that make up 70 to 80% of the world's crops. Within wheat, you have a lot of additives with corn syrup, which doesn't seem too bad because we all like corn, we all eat corn in everyday food. However, 90% of today's world has genetically modified corn. And in a Canadian study done in 2011, they had that Bt toxin within corn that was found that in pregnant women who had that genetically modified Bt in it, it was passed down to the fetus, which in and of itself is very disconcerting. And eggs, as another example, are usually organic. However, it comes to the ethical dilemma of a chicken that is raised with 67 square inches of legroom throughout their entire life. So while we're thinking it's organic and great, we also have to look at the moral decision that we have to make about sacrificing price for the lives of chickens who have to be cooped up and cramped their entire life. Which brings us to that cultural shift between box cake and from-scratch cake. So while from-scratch cake is often seen as being something that is harder to make, it takes longer, we also have to look at the ingredients that can be found in it. Those from-scratch ingredients that truly make it the best cake it can be. So the next time you're in a grocery store and you're hungry for cake, think about putting that box down, buying some fresher ingredients, because the environment and your health will thank you.
When you hit the button.